Hi everyone, it's Emma. Today I'm doing a little chatty video for you guys. I've gotten a lot of questions recently about why I was in New York for so long, how I was in New York for so long, etc. So I went to Instagram yesterday and I asked you guys to send me all kinds of questions related to the fact that I am officially moving to New York City this summer. As always, you guys asked lovely questions which made me so excited to film this video. Basically, I'm just updating you guys on my life. I also made this new kind of tea, which is mango turmeric, and so far it's really good. It needed a little bit of honey because turmeric is like a very earthy kind of taste. It's pretty good. I tried to combine some of the questions that kind of overlapped or were similar into a bunch of general questions to try and answer as many as possible. Why do you love New York City? I grew up going to New York City a lot, so for me it is very nostalgic. Instead of doing birthday parties, a lot of the times I would just go up to the city and see a Broadway show with my cousin and my mom. So it is very familiar and nostalgic to me. More than that, it's just the magic that the city has. I don't know if everyone feels this way about New York City, but there's just this energy there that I love. Like when I'm in the city, as cliche as it sounds, I feel like I breathe a bit easier and I have a bit more energy, like a bit more excitement. I love just like walking around New York City with headphones in. I love how many different types of people there are. There's something really poetic to me about all these strangers who all have specific lives and all have specific things that brought them there to New York City. For example, if you go to Grand Central, which is obviously a well-known place in New York. If you've been to New York, you most likely stopped by Grand Central Station. But it's also where I take the subway from a lot of the time, if I'm going anywhere except like Brooklyn. So when you go into Grand Central Station, it's a mix of complete opposites. You have big groups of tourists who are like walking really slowly, taking in the sights, taking lots of pictures, blocking the way. And then you have like businessmen and businesswomen or people with backpacks or people who are just speeding through the crowds trying to get to their subway as quickly as possible. I really like that energy of like being in a really populated place where people are doing all kinds of different things. Not to mention the fact that there is an endless amount of things to do in New York City. Endless amounts of bookstores. There's book events all the time. There's so many people to meet of all different ethnicities and backgrounds doing different jobs, and that is really, really different from where I grew up. So I do really like that side of it as well. A couple of you asked for some food and drink recommendations. The places that I eat in New York City are usually ones that are very aware of allergies because I have certain food restrictions. The city is wonderful for that. There's so many places I can eat. Keep that in mind. I don't have any pizza place recommendations, but if you follow me on social media, you've probably seen my stories about Dr. Smood. This is a coffee shop slash cafe that I go to pretty much every day when I'm in the city. They have really yummy coffee. They have a variety of vegan milks. They literally don't even sell normal milk. It's either cashew, almond, soy maybe. There's like a bunch of different ones. I personally like the cashew milk the best. I don't know about all their locations, but the one that's closest to me has the fastest Wi-Fi on the planet. I literally don't understand how their Wi-Fi is so fast. I uploaded a 17-minute long video in like less than 3 minutes, which is faster than my Wi-Fi at home, and my home Wi-Fi is pretty fast. So I often end up going there to edit and upload and answer emails and do all that very exciting stuff. Some other food places that I like and eat at regularly are Bear Burger. Their french fries are so delicious. There's a place in Soho called Spring Natural. I eat there kind of often. And recently I went to this place called Le Botaniste, which I'll type it out somewhere so you guys can see. That one was really delicious. It's an all gluten-free, all vegan restaurant. So if you don't like vegan food, do you plan on getting a job slash internship, and are you going to be continuing to work at a bookstore? I do plan on getting some type of job, probably a part-time job. I'll keep doing the YouTube stuff, obviously. And I think the dream would be to work in a bookstore, but given that it's New York City, working in a bookstore is more like a full-time career. And since I don't want to be a professional bookseller for most of my life, I'm not sure how hard it is to get hired. I'm actually fairly open as to what kind of job I'm going to get, because it is kind of like an in-between. Like, I'm not looking for my career right now, right when I move to New York City. So I'll probably apply to some bookstores or some shops. My grandmother does work in the city, so she has some connections, and I'm sure I will work with that. But the answer is yes, I do intend to be working. So, speaking of specifics and details, a lot of you wanted to know where I'm going to be living and how it is that I was able to stay in the city for a whole month. Now, I'm really sorry to those of you who are looking for advice on how to stay in the city affordably. I am lucky enough to have my grandmother who works in the city and has an apartment in the city and is kind enough to let me live with her. When I move up there, I'm going to be living with my grandmother, at least for a little while. So ask me again in a year's time and I may have some advice on how to live in New York City affordably. What books remind you of New York City? I gotta get them. There's a lot of books that remind me of New York City, but the one that always comes to my mind when I'm in the city is The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicole Yoon. But I remember reading this and then being in New York and like picturing all the scenes and even passing right by where some of the scenes happened in the book. I feel like this book captured that busy magic that I was trying to explain earlier. I feel like this book captured that, which is one of the reasons that it is probably my favorite contemporary. The other book that I always think of when I'm in New York City is The Beautiful and Damned by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I don't think I have a physical copy with me right now, but I lived in New York for maybe like 2 months when I was a teenager. I went through this F. Scott Fitzgerald phase where I was like only reading F. Scott Fitzgerald. I read all of his short stories and I read a couple of his novels, and that was the one that was my favorite, and I just have really clear memories of finishing that book. Like, I remember reading it outside in Bryant Park, and so it just reminds me a lot of that time in my life when I was in New York City. What are some ways that you disconnect with the frenzy of the city? And I also got the question tips for moving to a big city, so I'm going to merge those together. I don't know about all cities, but New York, it is very easy to get lost in the city, and I don't mean physically lost, I mean like emotionally lost. You're just one person out of all of these people, and it's easy to feel really small, I think. And it's so loud all the time and so busy all the time. Every day you're getting on the subway and you're crowded in with people all up in your personal space. And I'm definitely one of those people who needs quiet time. So when I'm in the city, there are some things that I have to do to be able to stay feeling like myself. For one of those, I require these noise canceling headphones. These are Bose headphones, so they were kind of expensive. There are some days where I'm out all day long and then I get home late at night and I'm so tired, but it's hard to go to sleep when your mind is awake because the city is so stimulating. So a lot of times I will get home and just put on these headphones, and they have this little button on the side. It plays like a white noise sound through the headphones. So a lot of times I will get home and just put these on and either listen to some music, watch a K-drama, watch an anime movie, and it helps me calm down and get to bed a lot faster. I also really try to schedule time with my people. When I'm in the city, there are some days where I like literally don't talk to anyone all day long, except for maybe talking to a camera. While I was there, even just for that month, I tried to talk to someone every day, whether it was my mom, one of my brothers, my boyfriend. I tried to FaceTime or talk to them on the phone. There's something about talking to someone who is not living in the city that to me is really grounding, and especially those people that make you feel more calm and make you feel more sane. Another thing, and I think that this would apply to all big cities, is to find your quiet spaces. The city can often feel really invasive, like there's nowhere to hide from people. But that is actually not true. There's a lot of really peaceful, beautiful places to read or like meditate. I have my spots that I go to on a regular basis that kind of give me that quiet time and that feeling of being away from the busyness of the city. I do have these 2 books. This one is called New York's 50 Best Places to Find Peace and Quiet and it is literally a list of different places you can go that are kind of peaceful and quiet alone time, or as alone as it gets in New York. And then I also picked this one up while I was in the city. It's called Mindful Thoughts for City Dwellers. I actually got it at Kinokuniya, and it's a book pointing out the little things that you can often miss when you're in a city. The first little chapter is called Breathe with the Trees, and it's talking about appreciating trees. Watch the birds move, noticing these little things and kind of taking the time to have those mindful moments, and I think that is really important. I also think it's really important to have a schedule or like a pattern. It really helps me when I have like something that I do every day or something that I do weekly. So for example, I go to Dr. Smood and I edit my videos there because I just as easily could edit them in the apartment, but there's something about having that routine. If you're working, then that will probably take care of itself. Scheduling out when you eat or scheduling out when you're going to exercise or whatever it is, probably in life in general, not just in the city. And then my last little tip is just to continue doing what you love. Whatever it is that makes your heart sing and makes you feel like you are doing what you're meant to be doing, keep doing that. Even if you're really busy and you don't have a lot of time, make that a priority. For me, a lot of times it's writing poetry or making videos. There was a little bit while I was in the city that I wasn't putting videos up on my regular schedule, and it really threw me off. And it kind of surprised me how much it did, because it's not as big of a deal if I miss a video when I'm at home. For that week that I didn't post a lot, I didn't feel like myself. It was very weird. A lot of the struggle of living in a big city, I think, is mental. I had all these thoughts of like, I'm not going to be me anymore. I'm going to change so much that I am not even going to want to do YouTube, or I'm not going to want to be a writer anymore, or my friends won't like me anymore, or whatever. I literally had the most outrageous thoughts. I think it's important to remember that your circumstances are changing, but it's not necessarily you. It might seem like this huge, crazy thing that's going to change your whole life. It's probably true that your life is going to change, but just remember that it's just your circumstances. It's not like your essence that's changing. For me, that was a very helpful reminder. Are you going to be going to any bookish events like BookCon? I guess I haven't mentioned this in a video yet, but I am going to BookCon. I'm not going to be moving up before BEA and BookCon, but I'll still be in the city for BEA and BookCon. And I'm so excited for BookCon this year. I can't wait to meet you guys, like always. But I'll also be going to as many bookish events as I can once I live in the city. I had the best experiences at the bookish events that I went to last month. I just met the sweetest people, and I had a lot of fun going to those events, even the ones that I went to by myself. So I'll definitely continue to do that while I'm in New York. So if you live in New York, chances are we'll get to meet. I actually got a bunch of questions asking if I was nervous or excited, and to be honest, I'm not nervous at all. I was nervous before the month that I spent in New York. I was kind of like, is this the right move? I have no idea, which was the whole point of going up there for a month. After that month, I am just 100% excited. I don't know if I'll get more nervous the closer it gets. Of course, I'm going to miss my family, but it does help that my grandmother is in the city, so I have a little bit of family there. I also am a really naturally independent person. I'm one of those people that the idea of like traveling alone, doing adventurous stuff on my own is so much fun for me. Walking around the city on my own and just exploring is one of my favorite things. What do you think will be challenging about moving to New York? I think there will be so much that is challenging about moving to New York. That's part of why I'm so excited to do it, because I'm one of those people who really thrives in being challenged and being pushed. Like, I love that feeling of being scared and doing something anyways and then seeing it turn out great, or seeing it not turn out great and then adjusting and trying something else. As much as I love being alone, I'm sure that there will still be lots of days that I feel kind of lonely. I had those days even while I was just there for a month. I'm sure that I will wish that my people were with me all the time, but at the same time, that'll push me to make new friends and make new connections. So more than I'm nervous about the challenges, I'm actually excited about what they will bring. One of you asked, what color is the moving experience? This is really interesting because I hadn't actually thought about it. At the moment, I think it is like pale purple, maybe lavender-ish with a slight tint of pink. But I definitely think that the closer it gets, that's gonna change, because I think that when it's soon I'll probably be more anxious, and so the color will get more vibrant. Right now I'm kind of in this like waiting period of waiting for it to be time to move. What's the first 3 things that pop into your mind when you think about New York? Honestly, the first one that came to my mind was BookCon last year. I feel like BookCon last year was like, if you were writing a book, that would be one of like the stops that you like plan out. Like I feel like it was the start of a lot of things for me. So that was the first thing that popped into my head. The second thing that popped into my head is this tree. I don't even know the name of the part of Central Park, but it's somewhere over on like the upper west side. In the springtime, there's this huge cherry blossom tree that blooms, and then when the petals fall off, they all fall onto the ground. I specifically remember this one day where it was kind of windy, so like it was blowing these petals off onto the ground, and it was like snowing petals. That was the second thing that I thought of. And then the third thing that came to my mind is what I was talking about earlier, of like that feeling that I get where I get a boost in my energy and I just feel excited just to be in the city. Makes me feel more outgoing. I don't know how to explain it. Like that magical New York feeling, if you've ever felt that. I've been filming for a very long time. So long, in fact, that I finished all of my tea. So those are all of the questions that I'm going to answer. I really like doing these chatty videos with you guys. I will probably ask for more future topics. Next time I want to sit down and just kind of talk about my life or talk about something with you guys. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave them down in the comments. Also comment down below if you're going to BookCon, because I want to see as many of you guys as possible. I'm going to say this now. If you see me and you want to say hi, come say hi, because if you don't, for whatever reason, I will never forgive you. I'm kidding. I totally understand being shy. I'm very shy, but I love talking to you guys. So if you see me and you want to say hi, please, pretty please. I've gotten tweets from people saying that like they saw me, but they didn't want to come say hi, or they didn't want to interrupt my conversation. I promise I don't care. Even if it looks like I'm with my best friend in the whole wide world and we're having the best heart-to-heart ever, I still want you to come say hi. Yeah. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a lovely day or night or afternoon wherever you are, and I will see you in my next video.